And now I'm going to turn it over to today's presenter, Anna Mangum, who is a regional manager for NC State's Industry Expansion Solutions. So Anna, I'm going to let you take over.
Thank you so much, Susan. Good morning, all. And I see a lot of familiar names and dare I say faces that are on this call this morning. And I very much appreciate you giving of your time to listen in and to ask questions and to interact. Before I begin, I just want to stress that I very much welcome questions and conversations. You see at the bottom of your screen, you have the ability to put in both chat and raise your hand. I would much rather this be a conversation than just a presentation. So please, throughout the presentation, if you have any questions or comments, please put them over in the chat or raise your hand. I appreciate that. So I'm going to share screen now, and we're going to begin. Many of you are, as I said, familiar faces, and so you don't necessarily need this beginning overview, but I will provide it anyway. This is a presentation provided to you by NC State University and IES, or Industry Expansion Solutions. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our department within the university and the College of Engineering, I'm going to do a brief overview of who we are and who I am. As Susan mentioned, I am a regional manager. That means that I am in the field. I cover 8 counties and all of the university's industry relations in those 8 counties, along with our interactions with partners, economic developers, community colleges, and other community leaders. But IES has been around since the 1950s. We are the extension, and we're actually the first extension for the engineering in our country. We provide value by offering an extension of services from our university out into the state of North Carolina and helping our economy grow. So outside of regional managers like myself who cover specific territories, we have both subject matter expertise as well as program leaders throughout our state. I just happen to be the one that lives closest to campus, although I joke and say that I don't have an office on campus. My office is my car. Just as an example, yesterday I was in Wilson, today I will be in Durham, and tomorrow I will be in Sanford. So we are active out in our communities, providing subject matter expertise in these resources on a daily basis. And we have a great staff, about 75, that are placed all over our great state of North Carolina, that have different backgrounds, levels of experience, and both industry as well as business backgrounds. I think most organizations or manufacturers that have interacted with us might think of us in one certain area of solution or another. And I want to stress to you that today is about a program that's relatively new, and it's really going to cover an area of workforce and innovation. 2 areas that we are strong in and looking to grow our programs. But this is just one example of a list of other areas we have programs, services, and subject matter expertise that we focus and provide to our manufacturers and other industries throughout our great state. But today's focus is going to be, and hopefully the reason that you were inspired or motivated to join through whatever means of communication you heard about today's webinar, you joined because you saw the word summer intern, and you might have been intrigued by wanting a NC State engineering student to come and work for you, as all of us are hearing the challenges out in our communities with the workforce pipeline, particularly in the talented pipeline growing in our rural areas. So I want to tell you a little bit about how this program began. It is about 4 years old, and I'll give you a brief story, so to say, as to how I've heard it, that this program came to be with its funds. So those of you who are manufacturers yourselves or placed out in rural areas of our state, and rural has a definition in this term, essentially being outside our metropolitan areas. And about 90% of the state of North Carolina is considered rural. under our state legislation. And so that's how we're going to define it today, with a little bit of caveat to it. But as our chancellor and our leaders from the university were out and about meeting leaders and hearing feedback throughout our state, they kept hearing from community leaders and business leaders that they were growing the talent in their rural counties, and their talent would be invested in the education of these students, K through 12. And then these bright young students would come to NC State, fall in love with Raleigh or a different lifestyle, so to say, and never come home, never return that investment back into their home community in order to be a part of the labor force there. And that it wasn't a fair return, and that we needed to help in the motivation of both the homegrown leaders from these communities that were coming to NC State to acquire a degree in engineering, to come home, to return home, or for those who maybe didn't come from a rural environment, to be inspired for careers in rural areas of our state, and that it really is a strong lifestyle choice. And they shouldn't be afraid of that and afraid of their exposure. And so the dean created a program that enabled a subsidy that allowed for student labor that chose to spend their summers working in a rural environment using their NC State engineering talent. They would be given a subsidy, enabling the student to be guaranteed a certain dollar amount in wage, and also giving a shareable cost to those companies that were hiring these NC State bright, smart learners. And so that's how RuralWorks began. And IES has been at the core, along with partnering with the Career Development Center on this program since inception. And we are very proud of the role we've played here. Myself in particular, and as my peers would say, I am very passionate about this program and love to see our great talent gaining experience and providing value to our rural communities. So this is just one example of where RuralWorks has made an impact this past summer. This is not a representation of all of the counties in which we have placed engineering talent, but this is last summer's impact. You can literally see it was mountains to the coast, and you see the color differentiation in these counties. Most of the tier 3 or darker colored counties are what we would consider the non-rural counties, but there are designated rural sections of those darker colored counties. And even in Western Wake County, we were able to designate a rural section and place a young engineering student last summer with a machine shop that was very high end, and he was working on reverse engineering projects for this job shop in order to best serve their customers. So before I jump into an example of what RuralWorks, how it works, and kind of the story behind one of the successes in this program, I want to give you some statistics. And I'll just kind of speak off the cuff in that matter. Last summer, we were able to place about 60 engineering students across our great state, and they really did work mountains to the coast in a variety of industries, in a variety of sectors and roles and responsibilities. We had students from all areas of engineering within NC State, including College of Textile engineers, pulp and paper science engineers, working at paper mills at Domtar. We had everything from mechanical, industrial, computer, electrical. They really were able to leverage all of our NC State talent. And I'm proud to say that we've even folded in some of the students in the civil and construction engineering program at NC State, and they are getting placements in civil and construction engineering firms, and also with public utilities in our state for this upcoming summer. So now is the time that we are working on recruiting both our communities or our organizations that will be hiring these students alongside recruiting the students. And we are working hand in hand on a daily basis with the Career Development Center to keep that pipeline, that momentum going with student interest. And our goal, as inspired by the dean this summer, we are looking to place over 70 students. So continuing to grow this program for another year, looking to place 70 students across our state in engineering roles, working for you in rural counties and providing them with job experience, as well as providing you with value at a very low cost. And I'm sure that rings in many of your ears. Labor is the #1 challenge I am hearing in my territory. And I think that a labor cost that is reasonable for talent is certainly something that any business could benefit and value from. But I think also, if you've never heard of this program or you hear the term intern, you might have some wavering questions, or maybe you've had an experience with an intern, or maybe you were an intern once yourself and you remember what that experience was like. And I want to stress to you that these are NC State engineering students and they have great talent. And even think about the barriers to entry within NC State's College of Engineering program and the rigor that one must have in order to get into our great university, into this program. And in order to participate in RuralWorks, they must have a 3.0 staying at NC State. So it truly is the best and the brightest of the talent produced in our state coming to work through this program. And so I want to take a chance and look across 3 resumes that are active young students in our College of Engineering that are looking to come and work in your community and looking to come and work in your organization. So I want to take a chance and just show you 3 student examples of their resumes and the kinds of talent you could have working through this program. So, Susan, if you'll give me confirmation that you can now see this PDF.
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I'm going to start by Jessica here. Jessica's from outside the Charlotte area, and she worked at one of our RuralWorks hiring organizations in Johnston County last summer. And she actually came to work for a client that I manage our relationship with, Skyware Global. And, you know, this is her first engineering internship, but Jessica comes from a great background in engineering, given that she actually studied engineering while in high school outside the Charlotte area. You can see she's an industrial engineering student, and currently she is going into her senior year. But these are all of the areas of relevant coursework and skill sets that she has already under her belt and experience with. So you can see here, she's got various levels of CAD experience, as well as multiple languages, coding, and also very proficient in areas of Microsoft Office. While at Skyware Global, she gained a tremendous amount of experience working on a team with 2 other NC State College of Engineering students. And these 3 students collectively worked on individual projects and also on a group project. And I love to tell the story that when they came to Skyware and worked under the engineering team there, as well as the leadership team there, they were very impressed with the work that these students provided. And I think underestimated them a little bit at the beginning of the summer, only kind of thinking ahead to, you know, a first few of these projects that you see on this bullet list. And then they had to identify more project work for them over the course of the 12 weeks these students served at Skyware, because they were able to knock out so many of the to-do lists, so to say, that the engineering department and the production department needed them to focus on. Jessica in particular really grew her personal skill set while there. First time I visited her middle of the summer at Skyware, it was very evident she was passionate about the people who worked there. And she had even get stopped in the middle of the hallway by operators and, you know, told good morning and hello. And she really developed a relationship with those who were there and provided a lot of value in her able to achieve the projects she was looking to make improvements against in her industrial engineering projects. You can see down here some of her academic project experience and some of the competitions that she has participated in as well. So hopefully Jessica is a good example for you in industrial engineering. And she certainly has moxie and motivation. And I know she's already participated in several interviews with some of our RuralWorks organizations looking to recruit students like Jessica. Next, we're going to go on to Noah. Noah is a bit younger than Jessica. He is truly a sophomore with junior standing. But Noah is also a wonderful example of a student who's looking for a job this upcoming summer. He is an electrical and computer engineering student who studied at the North Carolina School for Science and Mathematics in high school, and obviously got a great amount of education there prior to coming to NC State. I mean, quantum mechanics as a high school student, that is incredibly impressive. Again, we are not looking at interns coming to work for you to fulfill those, I will say, kind of negative storylines of filling your coffee in the middle of the day or looking to do busy work. These are students who are craving job experience and providing value. They want to understand what it's like to work in industry. They want to add your company name to their resume list. They want to provide value to you, and they have a background already before they start their summer with you. And so you can see here, he's done research projects in physics. He is a residential life assistant. That means he has really strong social skills if he is helping to manage and be a leader in his own living environment. He has participated in Science Olympiad as a captain. He has leadership skills. He goes out of his way to participate in science projects. And he's also served as a tutor. So, I mean, these are just a few examples of the kinds of students. And this is, as I mentioned, he's electrical and computer engineer. Next, we're going to go into Addison Ford. Addison is also a great, bright student who I have met. And he has shared his resume with us, hoping that he's going to find a diverse set of work experience for this upcoming summer. He's worked for All Tech Industries, which is a customer of ours at IES up in Creedmoor, North Carolina. So he's used to making that rural commute. He knows what it's like to live and work in a rural environment, although he didn't necessarily come from a rural environment. And he wants just another work experience under his belt after his co-op there before he goes into the workforce permanently. And you can see also as a mechanical engineering student, the other types of work he was able to achieve while at Alltech, and then also in the woodworking shop at NC State. He's been on the dean's list. He's got above 3.5. I mean, this is tremendous. Just outstanding students. And on a daily basis, I get introduced to more students who come through either the Career Development Center or hear about this through, I'll say, you know, the pipeline of students who already know about it. They end up hearing about RuralWorks and they'll contact us and say, hey, I heard that, you know, you might have insight on this, on the companies that are hiring through this program. This is my resume. Can you give me guidance? And we are glad to do so. And just wonderful to meet these bright students that have an eagerness to come and work for our manufacturing and industrial community, as well as some of the public works offices that we're recruiting to hire through this organization. All right, before I jump back to the program, after giving you examples of these just 3 bright students, I want to pause and allow for you to ask any questions, and you know, whether it be about the student talent pipeline that's participating in the program, or any other elements so far about what you know in RuralWorks. Okay, I see we have a question here. Do you know if you have a candidate that can support Greenville, North Carolina for 2023? Yes. The way that we would thank you, Diana, for submitting your question. Yes, we do have students that are looking to be placed in particular communities. whether it be that's where they're from, or maybe they have housing already confirmed in that section. Maybe they have a relative that live, or their parents who live there. We currently are able to, I'll say, recruit students to participate in the program from particular communities and help with the matchmaking there. But I mean, right now we have 220 student applicants, and I can't remember, if we've got one in particular from Greenville. So excuse me for not being able to answer so directly, but that when you're asking about particular communities and matchmaking in a specific area, yes, we can help there. Okay, great, Diana. I look forward to connecting with you after here for your interest in a couple of students for the Greenville area. And Danielle, I see our company is small. Would students be interested in working in a smaller manufacturing company? Oh, that is a wonderful question, Danielle. So just yesterday, I was on the road in Wilson, North Carolina, meeting with a pharmaceutical supply chain company that has 11 employees. And I think that working for a smaller manufacturer is a fantastic way for a young student to get a diverse amount of experience and really a cross-functional amount of exposure to what an organization needs and talent. I mean, I think there's nothing better than going to work for a small or mid-sized manufacturer to these students. And I actually, one of my clients, 3C Store Fixtures, is about around 100 employees. I don't know if you would consider that small, but they are actively recruiting talent. And I actually called a few of the students who have applied against the opening at 3C, and then one who didn't even apply to 3C, and shared with them what an experience working with a medium or small manufacturer would look like, the kind of exposure they'd have to senior leadership, the kind of diversification they would get in exposure to different departments. And I'm actually going to share with you a story about a student who worked for a smaller manufacturer in just a minute. But I think that, yes, we do have some students who are looking to work for smaller companies. And then we also have some students who, we can share with them what it would look like to work for a company like yours. And we'd be glad to do so and kind of advocate on your behalf. Because, I think that students often don't know what they don't know. They might know a brand name, and gosh, if you could have seen the career fair last fall, it astonished me, the line wrapped around walls for students wanting to talk to Caterpillar. And I'm, thinking, you're spending an hour in line just to talk to one person at Caterpillar. You need to be working the room, you need to be getting to meet as many of the manufacturers and the employers here that are present. And even some of the smaller unknown names could be fantastic employers post-graduation. So yes, smaller companies, I think, would definitely be a good placement. And then Robert, you've asked a question here. Do the clients give feedback on the students 12 weeks for their development and how they did? Absolutely, they do. These students get measured midway through their summer and at the end of their summer, and that has to get reported to the Career Development Center, and it is shared with the Dean's office as well. These students have to perform not only in their growth and their value to these companies, but also on a personal level. And they are also required to do, I believe it's, and Sam Sangler, I know from Career Development Center, you're on the call, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's 2 days of customer or community service in the communities in which they serve in order to finish this program out strong, in expectation from the Dean. And Jennifer, what does the orientation training session for the students look like? Well, this looks like at least 1 day of orientation with Career Development Center. We're hoping that our staff might also get to participate in this for the ones in engineering going to work for our clients this upcoming summer, just so that they can get a little bit more orientation with what extension does out of the university and how we'll potentially be involved or engaged in their relationship with the company, since most of our office is the one that recruits these companies to join in on the program. And so therefore we're the ones maintaining the relationship post internship. And orientation is typically focused on some soft skills as well as some expectations, as I mentioned before, with community service and the mindfulness that they have in growing their exposure and experience and working and gaining career experience in a rural setting. I mean, the whole purpose of this program is to attract and educate students about what it's like to gain a work experience working in a rural community, and open their eyes to what that can look like on a more permanent level post-graduation, and at the same time provide value to these organizations while they're working for you. Okay, great, thank you. Wonderful questions. Thank y'all so much. I would much rather have this be a conversation than a presentation. All right, wonderful. All right, so I'm going to move on and tell you one particular student's learning story. I've given you 3 student examples across multiple different majors. And I'm going to tell you about one mechanical engineering student who I am the utmost proud of from this past summer and the learning experience she had with one of our clients that we placed her with come last summer. Her name is Audrey. And Audrey is just a wonderful young leader. Audrey is from outside the Charlotte area, and she had other intentions with her summer between summer between sophomore and junior year. She had already secured a position or a job working actually at a strawberry farm. And she thought that it would be, a bright summer experience. And she was looking for, I think, a little bit less responsibility than she had originally landed. And somehow that job fell through last minute. And we got her in through the RuralWorks program. And I will say match made her with Belt Concepts, given her experience and classwork in mechanical engineering as a bit of a Hail Mary. But after having spoken with her on the phone and interviewed her a little bit myself, felt like she would be a good candidate to interview with the leadership team over at Belt Concepts. Belt Concepts is about the 40-50 employee organization up outside of in Spring Hope, outside of the Rocky Mount area. And talk about rural, it's pretty rural. They make conveyor belts for a various wide sector of industries, and their organization has been a stronghold in that community for decades, to the point where one of their engineers that works in that department even helped 30 years ago, as I understand it, install the equipment that makes the components that Belt Concepts produces. And so you can understand their need for wanting to grow young talent, as that 30-year experienced staff member might be coming to the end of their career soon. And they need to open their eyes to what it's like to hire a younger, talented employee. And they need to get somebody trained and transitioned in that role before that more experienced engineering staff member retires. And so Audrey, not coming from a rural environment and no manufacturing experience, she only had the goal of becoming a hands-on engineer. So that's a pretty simple goal in the terms of what she knew she was getting herself into over a 12-week employment. And she went out, she interviewed, she saw the plant floor for, I think, about an hour, and she took the role. So she stayed living in Raleigh and commuted on a daily basis to Spring Hope. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But she commuted every day, and she worked across all of the different departments that you see, all the different leaders that you see over on the right-hand side of your screen in red. And it really gave her, talk about hands-on. She not only grew relationships across the organization, but she also got to work on a diverse level of projects. They both defined some of these projects prior to her starting her internship, and then also identified some of these projects with her while that her employment was running. And really, I think you can look at this project list and think, wow, I mean, she's a mechanical engineer and she had interest or talent in doing video or picture captures for the marketing and sales team. She worked on 5S. Isn't that more of an industrial engineer's passion? Well, no, she wanted hands-on. She wanted to dig in the weeds. She wanted to gain experience in every way possible. And so she was very eager to learn and to support those across all of these areas in red. So just one of those 7 projects listed in black, I'll give you a little bit deeper dive on. She worked on a conveyor belt fabric trial and did some data analysis. And what she was doing here, they had never done before, but they also kind of had it on the bottom of the priority list because so many other challenges they were facing had come up. And so they looked at their priority list with their current engineer and said, what have you struggled to get to? What do you need additional time to achieve? And so, he drew up that list, and one of these was the conveyor belt fabric trials, and they didn't even have the trial and data analysis defined on how to do it. And so, along with Audrey, they worked on how to set up these trials and the data analysis. And Audrey was able to perform this for them and test out one of their across multiple different products, what some of the value and benefit was between different materials. And it resulted in the data here on this chart that Audrey provided, and Belt Concepts and Doug Deans, their operation manager, calculated up for me in cost savings and allowed for us to share in this success story. But here you can see the data that Audrey not only collected, but also analyzed herself, resulted in the project for savings of about $70,000. And this was one of her 7 projects she accomplished over the course of the summer. And you can see here a quote from Doug, and I'll give you a moment to read through that. I think one of the outstanding things in this quote from Doug is also the statement of little supervision. Audrey had gumption, she had motivation, and with little supervision, she was able to accomplish what she did. And I will also share with you that one of the outstanding pieces that of her learning as a young professional, just on a personal level for me and also for her, midway through the summer, I called to check on her, and she was driving home from work that day. And she, of course, she was in Spring Hope, right? And this was when gas prices last summer were inflating, and she was stopping at the gas station, and her commute back and forth every day was over 30 minutes. And she was telling me all about the project she worked on earlier that day, and on the floor, and a young operator, a gentleman that was helping her on her project she was working on that day, and the time he had dedicated to work with her. And and she was kind of complaining to me at the same time about the gas she was putting in her car. And I said, Audrey, I want you to stop for a minute, and I want you to think. That gentleman that you mentioned, said, does he have a family? Oh, yeah, he does. He's married. He's got 2 kids. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. He sounds like a really, well accomplished and, committed employee for Belt Concepts. I said, with the dean's subsidy and what Belt Concepts is paying you, you're making about $25 an hour. I said, and I know you've got a commute that's maybe a little further than his, but let's think about this. He's probably not making $25 an hour, and he helped you accomplish your project goals for the day. And he's having to put that same gas in his car. And she was like, oh, I didn't think about that. I said, okay, let's think about the diversity of the people that you get to work around in industry. And I want you to think about the life that they have to live too. And so I think it was a really big life moment for her to pause and give thought to, what it's like to work and live in a rural community and to work and live around those that might not be soon to be graduating college engineering students from NC State that might be getting a wage that's significantly higher with the level of education they have than those they might be working around and hoping to lead one day. So I think that kind of soft skill and life experience is also a really strong factor for the generation that is participating in this program. So now let's get into the weeds of the statistics. All right. As I mentioned before, RuralWorks internship program, we want to place at least 70 students in the summer of 2023. That means that we need to recruit in terms of companies to participate in rural communities. We need to be recruiting, I'd say about 55 to 60. Because some of these companies want more than one, and you're allowed to have up to 3 engineering students through this program come to work for you. So just keep that in mind. The commitment that you have to make as a manufacturer or employer in a rural community is $10 an hour. $10 an hour. I don't know a single manufacturer right now that's paying their workforce $10 an hour. You can't keep them for $10 an hour. And the reason that you're only having to pay $10 an hour is because NC State University is able to subsidize your $10 with an additional $15. This is making you, as a RuralWorks employer, incredibly attractive to these students. They'd rather come and work in a rural environment and be guaranteed $25 an hour than work in a place like RTP and maybe get 22, 23. So this program is going to attract very top-notch talent. And some of them are, very excited about the opportunity they're going to gain working in a rural community. And then on top of that subsidy, we have an additional partner with the North Carolina Biotechnology Center, where you are able to leverage, if you apply by Friday, and we can certainly help give you guidance here and follow up with you after, or you can ask questions after the webinar. You can have an additional stipend through a grant with the Biotechnology Center for $3,500, which decreases your costs as an employer. If you are in the life science area, then your commitment for hiring one of our NC State engineering students for the entire 12 weeks of our summer is $1,300. I mean, I can't think of a better labor cost than that. So I see we've got a question down here from Michael. If a company pays more than $10, is the student stipend from RuralWorks reduced? Yes, typically it is, but I would just consider that you pay $10 an hour. And therefore it's just kind of an easier exchange, so to say. And the way the finances work is it also makes it very attractive for you and for the student. So you come to an agreement with the student on whatever, pay cycle that you want, right? You handle that through, and we've had companies hire through their part-time labor force, like recruitment office, or, and maybe that's a third party, that's fine. If it makes it easier on you, and you can work on paying them on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis. That's in the agreement between you and the student. And university, is not a part of that. But the university pays these students for their $15 an hour multiplied out by, however many weeks they commit to work for you. And it could be anywhere between 10 and 12 weeks. Most of these students work a full 12 weeks for their employer, unless they have some other commitment through their summer. Let's say they, have a family obligation at the end of the summer or something like that. But they'll typically work for 12 weeks. You come to that agreement, you sign off on it, you report it back to the Career Development Center. The Career Development Center will then create the pipeline or the clock, so to say, for when the university is going to pay these students, and they get paid 100% on our end up front in their summer. That allows them to relocate if they need to. That allows them also to account for transportation in whatever commute or other challenges that might be falling on them, given they're going to be working outside of maybe where they're from or outside of the Raleigh area where they're used to living during school year. Does this program apply to co-op positions as well, or only summer interns? So that's a great question, Michael. Last summer, we were able to take some of our co-op students and put them into the RuralWorks program. And so what that enabled us to do for the rural co-op students was have their wages increased over the course of their summer time period. But this program is only fundable at that $10 an hour obligation on you as an employer for a 12-week cycle. That's max. So if you've got other questions there, please let me know. And hopefully, you're following along with all these caveats. But I want those of you who have never heard of this program to take away your obligations $10 an hour. We pay the students an additional subsidy, making them guaranteed $25 an hour. And then we will help in the bottom kind of 2 bullet points there. We will help you in creating your job description to attract the right kind of talent. And we will also help in recruiting talent, depending on, the amount of applicants you're getting in the first, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks. We'll work on growing that application pipeline if you're not getting what you want, or you're not seeing what you want in those resumes against the EPAC portal that we use. So, but right now we've got some employers with job positions that have over 14 applicants, because these students are eager to work for particular job descriptions or particular locations. And I just think that's wonderful. If we've got, applicants out of NC State's College of Engineering raising their hand, basically saying, pick me, and that means that you're going to have some eager, well-rounded applicants to pick from in order to gain the most value. And I really commend you for giving of your time today, because now is the time to get in. We learned over the course of the last few years, and particularly last summer, that the earlier you start recruiting, the earlier we start posting these positions, the better, because most of our College of Engineering students are wanting summer internships, and they realize that in order to gain the best experience, they need to start searching around the holiday break, and that has already passed. So this Monday was the start of spring semester, and these students are eagerly looking to lock in their summer experiences. I know to you in industry, it seems so far away, the summer, but it's really not. And the sooner you can get your job posted, the job description created, and the sooner you can start reviewing applicants, doing your interviews, and signing off on the paperwork, the better. The better chances you'll have at connecting with the right student, and the better chances you're going to have at creating the best experience for the best value and cost savings for yourself. And those of us in the field, like myself, with IES, as particularly as the regional managers, we want to see you succeed in this program. We want to see you have value. We want to see a success story like Audrey come out of your company. And I mean, we've even had some great experience. My dream is that one day all of these internships will lead to full-time job offers. We've had that in several circumstances already. And I mean, I could tell you so many stories about students who've had success in this program that have led to employment with companies they did internships with. But I mean, you could even see it as a 3-month long job interview for some of these students, if you want to think of it that way. So, I mean, the talent pipeline is strong, and what a better way to test out who fits with who than a 3-month interview rather than a few hours. So, all right. If you are unfamiliar with who your regional manager is and how to follow up, this is the list and the territories that we all serve in. And I would strongly encourage you to make note of who your regional manager is, write down their name, write down their telephone number. If you've got questions, of course, follow up from this webinar, and any of us will point you to the right counterpart. You know, we work with a very tight team, and we just would love to help set you up with the right student and get signed up for this program. Okay, Blake, Henderson County, stepped away for a second, and I may have missed it. Any questions on where to post a better to better connect to interns is Indeed still okay? So Blake, that's a great question. The process is, once you sign up with RuralWorks with the university, you have to go through the EPAC portal. And in order to do that, and I can actually, let's do that now. This is not what I plan to do, but apologies for going a little off script here, but either your regional manager at IES can help you with this, or the Career Development Center can help you with this. What you would do is the first step, and you get to the RuralWorks page on the Career Development Center, is you go to the RuralWorks Employers tab, then you scroll down. If you're on this webinar, more or less, you're probably already qualified. You can go in and fill out the employer interest form. All that's going to do is prompt Sam Sangler from the Career Development Center to follow up with you. But you can just go ahead if you want and just submit an internship description form. This just takes you to a simple Google Doc. It's fairly straightforward. Just your name, your email, you know, your county, that sort of thing. And then it gets into the internship job title. I would encourage you to keep it vague unless you know specifically what you want. Like I've titled or helped my clients just create manufacturing engineering intern here, and then overview company organization. Keep it short and simple, you know, and we like to, you know, gloss up some of the work experience these students are going to get to attract the right student. Okay, great. Thank you, Susan. You put in the RuralWorks regional managers link in the chat. Thank you for that. And then what salary do we list? That's a great question. You would list $10 an hour here. So you'd put in, and Sam will edit what you put here from the Career Development Center, and he'll make sure that the student knows they're going to get. So I'd put it in like this. And Sam will make sure that the RuralWorks like paragraph is listed at the bottom of the posting, so the student knows they're going to get $25 an hour. And then application end date, when it comes down to this detail, I've been urging my clients to put in like mid-February, like February 15th, just to create that sense of urgency on the student to apply if they're interested as soon as possible. And then, when do you want it posted? Put in ASAP. Sam and I work hand in hand on when these get posted and how they get posted. Additional information, one of my clients don't put anything in there. And then how many internships you want to hire under this position. So if you've got multiple positions, create different job descriptions for each one. And if you're, let's say, a leader in HR, and you think that one department could use one over another, I highly encourage you to get the leader from that department involved in how you describe the role. Because that's the language that they're going to speak, and some of the terms they're going to use as an engineer in one department versus another might attract the right kind of talent. And hold on. And then all the RuralWorks postings, the students hear about this program and they go and see the featured internships that are listed for engineers across different companies. And right now, this isn't all the ones that are posted so far, because I just literally yesterday worked with one in Wilson, and it's not posted yet, but it will be soon. These are all of the ones that students get to see with the job descriptions here. And all right, another question. Is this program for engineering jobs only? I see that some of the job descriptions can be different areas like graphics and accounting. So the RuralWorks program is not just for engineers, but the stipend is. Meaning, if you want an accounting engineer, then your requirement as a company must be $10 an hour, and you can choose to pay them more. But there will be no stipend from NC State subsidizing that, making that position more attractive to the student. Because it is the Dean of the College of Engineering that is using his budget to pay and subsidize this program, motivating his engineering students to participate and to work in their summers in rural areas. Other questions? And we have had some success with non-engineering students in RuralWorks. So I don't want you to close your mind to that. You just need to know that you should be thinking about a wage that would be fair for the talent that you bring in, and $10 an hour is typically low. But these others, okay, so another question came in from Daniel. But these engineering students might want to learn other departments during their internship. That is correct, Danielle. So, it really depends on the talent that you need and the kind of experience the student is looking for. But we, through this program and through the dean's kind of motivation, we are wanting these engineering students to gain engineering experience in a rural community. So if they gain, like Aubrey, engineering experience and marketing experience and operations experience and research experience, like that's even better, right? Like more job diversification experience, the better, the more well-rounded the student, the better value to the company. That's even better. But we want to make sure that they're testing their engineering experience as well as, or gaining their engineering experience as well as providing the. Oh, back to the PowerPoint. So I'm just going to leave this back up on the screen. so that any of you who have not made note of your regional manager can do so. And from here, I'll leave it up for another minute or two, and we will come up on that 10 o'clock mark. But I encourage you to continue to ask your questions or raise your hand if you want to speak. But hopefully we have given you motivation through this webinar to sign up for the program and employ an NC State College of Engineering student to work and come serve you for the course of this upcoming summer. Now is the time, especially if you're in life science, sense of urgency. You must apply for the additional grant by Friday. But $10 an hour for 12 weeks of value from one of our students is an incredible opportunity, and can provide you, value now, as well as provide you with value longer term, and hopefully identifying and attracting talent more permanently post internship. I greatly appreciate you giving of your time this morning. IES takes a lot of pride in serving our whole state, and this program in particular has made a great impact mounts to the coast, and we want to continue to help bring solutions to you that are addressing some of the challenges in today in industry, one of which is pipeline and creating that talent pipeline that is attracted to come live and work for you, keeping that bright talent from NC State in our state, and to continue to grow our state's economy.
Anna, thank you for today's presentation. And I'd also like to thank all of our attendees today. This was our first webinar of the year, so we thank you for attending. Our next one is scheduled for next Wednesday, and the topic will be supplier scouting. I will provide a link for registration in the post-webinar email that goes out tomorrow. We also have a new program that meets the fourth Thursday of the month. It's called Manufacturing Meetup. That's an opportunity for manufacturers to join, hear a short presentation, and just engage with one another. And finally, we do have our annual manufacturing conference scheduled for April 20th and 21st in Winston-Salem. I'll provide a registration link for that as well in the email. And I want to thank everyone once again. This concludes today's webinar. Thank you and have a wonderful day.